Welcome to News Today with Universal Parks News Today. I'm Eric Morton, and here's the news for September 24th, 2020. After a successful weekend, Universal Orlando Resort has announced that their Halloween festivities, including 2 haunted houses and trick-or-treating, will continue operating on select dates through November 1st. The haunted houses will be available again this Saturday and Sunday, and then daily from October 3rd through November 1st. After a few coy tweets, Universal made the announcement over a live stream. Universal Orlando Resort has once again quietly changed hours at Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure, with modified Halloween offerings now available at both parks through November 1st, likely due to the popularity of the haunted houses over the testing period. Universal is maximizing hours at the parks on select weekends, with the parks closing as late as 9 p.m., which is now later than most Walt Disney World theme parks. Keep in mind that hours have been changing fairly rapidly, so we may see another change in the coming weeks. At Universal Studios Florida, park hours are 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. with the exception of select weekends. For Return of Haunted Houses this weekend, the park hours have been extended through 9 o'clock p.m. on Saturday and 8 o'clock p.m. on Sunday. Starting in October, we're seeing the first Saturday also showing a 9 p.m. close with 8 p.m. close times for the next 2 weekends. We expect the 9 p.m. closure time to be extended to all weekends through the month, so long as the crowds are there for it. At Islands of Adventure, park hours are 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. with the exception of select weekends. For the return of Halloween trick-or-treating this weekend, park hours have been extended from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday and 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sunday. In October, we're seeing the first Saturday also showing 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. park hours, with 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. hours on the next 2 weekends. We expect the extended hours to be extended all weekends through the month as well, but I guess we'll see. As a reminder, Universal's Volcano Bay will now be closed on Tuesdays and Thursdays through the end of the year. The park typically operates from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, we are also seeing some weekend extensions, with the park open through 6 p.m. every weekend through the rest of the month. Hours for City Walk remain unchanged at this time, with the shopping and dining district open daily from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Universal Orlando Resort has updated Express Pass access time for its premium pass holders. Beginning October 1st, 2020, Express Pass access privileges will begin at 4 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. Weekday Express Pass access will continue to begin at 2 p.m. In August, Universal announced that Express Pass access will begin at 2 p.m. Given the later closures, the new 4 p.m. weekend access time mirrors the resort's policies prior to August 2020. Express Pass gives Universal Orlando Resort guests the ability to skip the regular line. Premier pass holders are able to use Express Pass once per attraction on each visit. Our reporters were up bright and early the other day to check out all the new Halloween festivities at Universal on September 19th. Team members had prepared the walkways in Universal Orlando's parking garages for bigger crowds than usual. Islands of Adventure was open for early admission instead of Universal Studios. The line to get into Islands of Adventure and then, take the train from Hogsmeade to Diagon Alley was all the way out to City Walk. Thankfully, it did not take too long to enter. We checked out a trick-or-treating spot before heading to the train. Guests 12 and younger can trick-or-treat for candy over at Islands of Adventure. Lines continued inside the park as guests headed to Hogsmeade. Meanwhile, Universal Studios Florida had a long line to enter the park at 9 a.m. Once inside, we headed for the haunted houses and we experienced the 2 new Halloween Horror Nights houses, Revenge of the Tooth Fairy and Universal Monsters, The Bride of Frankenstein Lives, during pass holder previews and then also during the weekend. While guests swarmed the haunted houses, Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley were both kind of empty. The lines for both houses and Halloween Horror Nights tribute store ran all the way down the street. Since the virtual line filled up so fast, team members put out signs stating that the haunted houses had reached capacity. You can watch our live stream from Universal Studios here on our YouTube channel. Universal Studios Florida has opened up a new URest area in the New York section of the park, just in time for the Halloween festivities this weekend. URest areas are where guests can safely remove their face coverings while maintaining proper social distancing. This small URest area is on a section of street across from Revenge of the Mummy. There are clearly designated entrances and exits for the area, and a few tables with chairs so guests can sit and relax. As you may be aware, on September 8th, guests were able to find a new scavenger hunt called the Scarecrow Stock at Universal Studios. The Scarecrow Stock takes place, it started September 18th, and it will take place through November 1st, and allows guests to a chance to hunt for 13 scarecrows and skeletons in hopes of earning a candy sampler bag. The maps can be found shortly after entering the park at the Universal Studios store. The display is dead center. If this guy is any indication, we're going to see some creative creations along the way. Guests can collect stamps at the 13 listed locations to earn that aforementioned treat bag. Redemption of the prize is available at San Francisco Candy Factory or Studio Suites. Like the trick-or-treating at Islands of Adventure, the Scarecrow Stock is free to play. However, trick-or-treating, as we remind you, is open only for children and their guardians. If you're a childless adult looking for candy, the Scarecrow Stock is pretty much going to be your only option. Cafe La Bamba at Universal Studios Florida has opened a new immersive food experience called the Skeleton Bar. This is one of many Halloween offerings at Universal Orlando, started last weekend. Outside, new signage advertised the Skeleton Bar, and fall decorations have been placed around the entrance. They have prepared a socially distanced line going down the street. Decorations continue inside as you are, of course, greeted by a skeleton. Halloween imagery is on the walls in the entrance area as well. The bar area is lit with black lighting. Curtains separate the more immersive experience from the bar. The menu features specialty food and drinks such as a circus peanut drink, frozen candy corn slush, mango inferno, screaming for s'mores fries, bloody charred tandoori skewer, and vegan jacked up mac. To read our full review on these items, head on over to our site. Spoiler alert, they are not all good. Okay, so back to these haunted houses. Given that these houses are available with regular daytime admission for the first time ever, additional parental advisory signs have been placed near the entrances. The sign for Revenge of the Tooth Fairy warns guests of strobe effects, fog effects, and enclosed spaces. Guests must not touch live performers and cannot be carrying children. The queue for this house has social distancing markers as well. There are some safety measures in place to maintain social distancing once inside the house as well. Team members inside make sure that there is space between each party. There's also plexiglass in front of scare actors as a barrier of protection between them and the guests. The story of the house Okay, the story of this haunted house is that a little boy doesn't want to give up his tooth to the tooth fairy. His mom tells him someone will take him away and turn him into a monster. We actually enjoyed the way the story was told throughout the house, and it was a cool visual experience with Edwardian storybook accents throughout for a spooky yet steampunk vibe. Team members directing guests inside, they have like red flashing hand wand lights. They'll hold them up horizontally to signal to the guests to stop or wave guests on to the next room. We never really saw or heard any guests in front of us. It flowed really well. We only had to stop once or twice. There weren't very many scare actors at first, and overall the house didn't feel as loud as these houses typically are. Because of the plexiglass, you could sometimes, you could tell where a scare actor was going to pop up. It's a little disappointing, but they did get in a few good scares. We were also able to visit the Bride of Frankenstein Lives house. This house was great visually with a lot to look at and plenty of scare actors, more so than Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. The general aesthetic of the house is that of a laboratory, with the bride seen relentlessly trying to bring back Frankenstein from the dead. Frankenstein's monster. I know it's Frankenstein's monster. You don't yell at me in the comments for calling him Frankenstein. The plexiglass was noticeable though, so we knew when something was coming, which made it less scary. A few scare actors were wearing face masks, including the bride herself at the beginning of the house. After getting tricked at Universal Orlando's 2 new haunted houses, you might want to grab a treat. Thankfully, 2 food trucks have opened up in the New York section of the park near the houses. First, we're hitting up the Twisted Tater Truck for a Halloween Horror Nights classic, this time with a gory twist. There are 2 trucks, one by Rip Ride Rocket for Universal Monsters, and one by the Tribute Store for Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. To read our reviews of these food trucks, spooky offerings, and more, just head on over to our site. Over at Islands of Adventure, we've been seeing ride vehicles on the tracks of Velocicoaster. You may know this as the roller coaster that does not officially exist. The ride vehicles, which are currently still wrapped in plastic, are currently undergoing testing on the completed coaster track. Now, one of the vehicles was brought out up to the coaster's highest point this week, which is kind of neat to look at. The plastic-wrapped InGen vehicle was clearly visible from across the park's lake. A crane and cherry picker holding workers were near the peak of the track also. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the vehicle actually moving, but it looks like the coaster is coming along quickly. We also recently saw several raptors inside the construction site. So the raptors in your construction site always seems like a good idea. We can't wait to check this out. We mentioned earlier that Islands of Adventure is including trick-or-treating as part of their new Halloween offerings. This event is part trick-or-treating, part scavenger hunt, as guests must find each of the participating treat locations. Luckily, we have the list right here. The following locations had treats: Trading Company, Island Market Holiday, Mulberry Street, Cat in the Hat, Treasures of Poseidon, Dino Store, Toon Extra, Gas Alley, Alternaverse, and Comic Book Store. So each of these locations should have a pumpkin sign at the entrance to mark that they are a treat location. Guests wanting to trick or treat need only stop at any of the participating locations and pick up a treat bag. Guests are only allowed to use their treat bags provided by Universal, so leave your pillowcase at home. The event is intended for children 12 years of age or younger, and they must be accompanied by an adult. Guests visiting City Walk at Universal Orlando Resort were introduced to a new robotic dog this week. Latte, the robotic dog, appeared outside Toothsome Chocolate Emporium and Savory Feast Kitchen. The dog, elaborately themed with steampunk touches, joined Penelope and Jacques performing for the assembled crowd. Latte appears to be based on the Boston Dynamics Spot robot that has probably terrified people in videos they've seen online over the past few years. Jacques and Penelope are excited to introduce Latte, but Latte appears to be sleeping when they start. The crowd is then asked to jingle their keys to wake Latte. She will think that you're about to take a car ride and wake up. She's sleeping just behind the line of planters. After hearing the jingling of keys, she springs into action, and her legs allow her to tilt from side to side. Jacques and Penelope are ready to show off Latte's tricks. The robotic dog performs for Jacques, Penelope, and the crowd. Penelope and Jacques explain to the crowd that they are first-time pet owners. The crowd suggests tricks that Latte might be able to do. This adds a lot of interactivity to the experience, and Latte's tricks so far include barking, dancing, turning, and sitting. To me, this dog is more terrifying than the haunted houses. Who is ready for Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Japan? We sure are, but it seems Universal Studios Japan is not. In an internal email to NBC Universal employees, CEO Jeff Shell has revealed that Super Nintendo World is now delayed until, quote, early next year. Here is an excerpt of the email. We've now reopened our theme parks in Orlando, Osaka, and Singapore. As you would expect, attendance is down, but our guest satisfaction scores have never been higher. It is actually a great time to go to a Universal theme park. We are operating safely and without the typical number of guests because we are carefully managing attendance. The financial impact at our parks has been significant, and given the state of broader tourism and the travel market in general, it will take time to regain our momentum. Even so, we remain on schedule and on budget for a 2021 opening of Universal Beijing, which is just remarkable. And we also look forward to opening Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Japan early next year. Super Nintendo World was originally scheduled to open back in June before being delayed indefinitely. Due to the park's current recovery from extended COVID-19 closure, Universal Studios Japan has decided that it's in the interest of guest safety to delay this opening. No new target date was given. $60 billion yen price tag. That's about 559.5 million for those of you without Google. This expansion will feature an exciting and highly interactive environment where beloved experiences centered around the Super Mario characters will come to life. The land is expected to feature a Mario Kart e-ticket as well as family-friendly Yoshi attraction. It's spooky season at Universal Studios Japan from now through November 8th. And while there may not be horror nights or haunted houses this year, there are some signs of what we miss. Friends from the Universal Monsters live rock and roll show have taken to the streets of Hollywood to teach the rat-tat-tat dance, first popularized last year here at Universal Studios Japan and opened this year's special New Normal Halloween. And you can watch the full show here on our YouTube channel. There's also a fresh new show special for this year, Zombeats, a 4-person a cappella group singing hits like Thriller and My Songs Know What You Did in the Dark. With incredible skill. You should absolutely watch the videos. They're really entertaining. We have them right here on our YouTube channel if you can't make it out to Osaka this year. Now, did you ever sit down and think Hello Kitty and Chucky would really make a great mashup? Yeah, me neither, which is probably why Universal Studios Japan is selling a small line of Hello Kitty and Chucky merchandise this Halloween season. All of these items are available at the Universal Studios Souvenirs in New York, as well as the various Hello Kitty shops around the park. To view this collection and details, head on over to our site. For more information on these stories and more, head on over to universalparksnewstoday.com. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Universal Parks News Today on YouTube for more great content, click the bell for notifications, and make sure to hit select all notifications so you never miss an episode of News Today with Universal Parks News Today. For UPNT, this is Eric Morton saying, the future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one. Bye-bye.